There are so many different meal planning methods out there, but one that's been popping up everywhere lately is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. And in today's episode, we're going to be breaking down what it is, how it works, and I'm going to share my honest thoughts on whether or not it's actually worth trying.
Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast.
So, if you are in the land of social media or Pinterest or anything like that, or even listening to this podcast, you know that there are a lot of different ways to plan out your meals and to have this routine in your life. And it can be really distracting if we are trying to follow a lot of different meal plans, and we really have to, or meal planning methods, I should say. And we really have to find what works best for us. However, sometimes it is fun to experiment and try something new and see if there is a method that would work even better for us, or we could just take pieces of it and implement it into our own meal planning routine and tweak ours a little bit. So there's a lot of different options. However, there are times where we should just say no to other meal planning methods just because it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to get off course and then feel like we are overwhelmed trying to figure out what to do because we're being told so many different things. So, if that is the case for you and this is just another method that's going to cause confusion and take you off course, then just skip this episode. You don't even have to listen to it. I don't want you to feel like there are too many options to listen to. I just saw that this is something that is going around. It's very viral right now. And it's something that I wanted to address because it does seem like a fun method to have. So I wanted to share what it is and my thoughts on it. So the typical method for 5-4-3-2-1 is basically that is your primary grocery list. So when you are stuck and you want to go to the grocery store and you don't have a plan or you just want to keep your meal planning routine really simple and basic, you just go and you fill your shopping cart. And the typical method is you fill your shopping cart with 5 vegetables, 4 fruits, 3 proteins, 2 carbs, and 1 treat. And when you put all of that in your cart, you just go check out, and that is your grocery shopping for the week. And then you go home and you make it. Now, this sounds really fun, and it's like, "Oh, man, that would be so easy to just go and do this, and just go and pick out a couple of things in each category, and you're set." And so this sounds really cool. So I started thinking about it, and I will have a little disclaimer here that I have not actually tried this method yet, but I tried to think through the possibilities here and where I would have the pros and where I would have the cons here. And there are certain things that would make it really cool because it's definitely a pro because it's very basic, it's very simple. You can go in, you can pick your favorites in each category and move on and not have to stress about things. And for some people, this will work really, really well. However, I do have some thoughts. So, number one, I would recommend swapping the proteins and the fruits because I know for our household, we would want more proteins more than the fruits. So I would actually say 5 vegetables, 4 proteins, 3 fruits, then 2 carbs and 1 treat. So that's my personal opinion. I would swap those out to get extra protein. I think it would last longer throughout the week. I think you would be more satiated. And I just that's my personal opinion. My second thought is that you definitely need to scale this to your household. And I know that might be common sense to some people, and other people, they might just look at this and be like, I can't do that because I have a big house to feed. And it's supposed to work with any size of family, I think. But basically, you could just adjust the amounts based on the number of people in your home while sticking to the number of the variety. So, for instance, if you are trying to get your 3 fruit options and one of your fruit options is apples, if you have a big family, you might get like 1 or 2 bags of apples, and that counts as one of your fruits for your category. Whereas somebody that is single and lives alone might just pick out like 2 apples from the fruit stand and be done with it. So it really just depends on the size of your home. You can still focus on 3 fruits, but you might have to get a larger amount, versus, a smaller amount. Obviously, that's pretty common sense, but I just wanted to make sure I mentioned it so it didn't get confusing for people. The other thing to think about is that while it's nice to just pick one thing out of each category, you still kind of have to be thinking about meal planning because you want your selections to be compatible for cohesive meals. You don't want just really random stuff that doesn't really go together. Now, most things in my mind, then when I would go and pick things in those categories, most things in my mind would actually blend together well and make a cohesive meal, but you have to think this through if you have a wide array of tastes because you want to make sure that your selections will create good meals together. The other thing is that this likely won't cover everything you're going to need, and you're going to have to grab additional items. You're going to probably want some condiments or dairy products because those are not included in this 5 4 3 2 1 method. So, if you're going to use this method, I would actually plan your selections ahead of time. So, you're still thinking about this as a meal planning method, and you're going to want to select your options first, then think through what kind of meals you're going to create with each of those options. And then you're going to be able to see what else it is that you need to grab. So, if you're going to be putting different meals together, you're going to know, do you need cheese as one of those options? Do you need sour cream? Do you need any condiments or sauces for the meals that you're going to be creating? And then you can make sure those get added to your list so you still only have one shopping trip to complete. So, for instance, if you are going to do the 5 4 3 2 1 method and you're going to swap the proteins and the fruits like I had mentioned, then you're going to do 5 vegetables, and let's say you're going to get lettuce, asparagus, carrots, broccoli, and spinach. And then your 4 proteins is going to be chicken, and we're just going to use 2 protein options as chicken because this household loves chicken. Then we're going to do ground beef and we're going to do salmon. And then in 3 fruits, we're going to say strawberries, bananas, and apples. And then 2 carbs, we're going to choose rice and sweet potatoes. One treat is going to be a dark chocolate bar. Okay. So then when you create these selections, then you're going to mix and match them for your meals. So you want to think this through, like what kind of dinners can I create with these ingredients? So for instance, you could do a grilled chicken and strawberry spinach salad. You could do salmon with rice. You could do a roasted sweet potato bowl with chicken or salmon, and sauteed spinach. So there are different options you can do to combine these ingredients into cohesive meals. For lunch options, I don't know if this applies to lunches and breakfasts as well in this 5 4 3 2 1 method, or if it's supposed to focus solely on dinners. But I think from what I've been hearing on it, it's supposed to last you for your entire week. So thinking this through, some lunch options with these selections could be grilled chicken with rice and broccoli, and you could just or like prep that ahead of time and have it for the week. Obviously there's some other options too, but that's just one I wrote down. And then for breakfast, maybe fruit smoothies. But since you already have, your strawberries, you have bananas, you could do a strawberry banana smoothie, but you're probably going to want some yogurt and some dairy products that are missing here. So, if this idea works with your brain, you're going to want to choose your items as a starting point and then brainstorm how you'd put them together, before you go shopping. And then that's what's going to help you see what's missing. So, my final thoughts, my final opinion on this method, if you're stuck in meal planning and you're just looking for a fun way to very quickly select from categories and then build your meals with these ingredients and start brainstorming meals with these ingredients, I do like it. I think this method could be really fun and something different. However, it is not going to cover everything, and I think there are some instances where you'd end up buying things that are just going to go to waste or they're not gonna be fully utilized with your meal selections because they aren't as cohesive as if you would just plan out your meals ahead of time. So, I think it's worth trying and seeing if you like it. However, personally, I'm just going to be sticking to what I'm doing. And and if you're new here and you're like, "Wait, well, what are you doing?" and you want to know what I've been doing, you can, go back and I have a lot of episodes on my meal planning routine. One I will point out to you is episode 4, and that's where you get the 12 steps for an easy meal planning routine, and there are more than that, but that would be a good place to start to kind of break it down and go step by step through my process, and it does seem like a lot. However, once you get these steps in place, it is so streamlined, it's so easy, it's simple to be consistent with because it is so easy. And I think that that is working super well for me, and while the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method sounds kind of fun and something a little bit different, I do think that my personal meal planning method is working well enough that I don't want to change it up because I wanna stay consistent with it. So my personal opinion is that I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, but if you're looking for something fun, and something to try, then go ahead and do this method and see if you like it, but just make sure you are paying attention to making cohesive meals with your selections and thinking through all of the other items that you're gonna have to get that are not included in these categories. Like I said, like the dairy products or the condiments and the sauces and things like that that you might want to consider. So, those are my thoughts. Take them or leave them. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you back here on the next one.
Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.